What's up YouTube, Vanguard here. We're going to finally talk about my top 5 favorite spell cards of the game. Now keep in mind that this is 5 through 1. We might do a 6 through 10 later on. Certain things that didn't make the cut in this video, things like Pot of Greed, Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, Spellbook of Judgments. These are all cards that have impacted the game in at least some potential matter, whether it be positive or negative, and things like that. So do keep that in mind as we're going through this discussion, and you guys might be able to get a little bit out of this video, whether it be some competitive knowledge or just how bad this terrible game was back in the day. We're going to start off with Mirage of Nightmare. This card has been gone for quite some time. If you guys don't remember what it did, I know a lot of you don't. It allowed you to draw until you had 4 cards in your hand during your opponent's turn. And then during your next standby phase, you had to discard the exact same number of cards that you drew. So there were ways around this, obviously. Things like Mystical Space Typhoon, people just main decking emergency provisions just to pop off the card. The card had some major implications, especially with Dark World. The ability just to, be like, alright, set my whole hand with Mirage, draw 4 Dark Worlds. Alright, my turn, I draw, shuffle up, your opponent discards 4 random cards from your hand. Of course, let's be realistic here, a good chunk of those are going to be Dark World cards, and you're going to get to mess up your opponent even more. Now, realistically, though, MST, emergency provisions, all were realistic and abusable ways to just extort how good this card was. During Cookie Cutter Chaos is a good example of this. The ability just to net yourself free lights and darks in the grave, the ability just to continuously draw through your deck to get resources, the ability to draw into MST during the draw phase to pop the card. All really abusable ways just to get free card advantage off Mirage of Nightmare. I know the card's not going to come back, even though I have 100 and some copies of it. I kind of collected them over the years. It's one of my favorite cards in the game, only because of the art on the card and the way that the card impacted the game for me as a player when I was playing the game. Next up, this one a lot of players are going to be salty about. It is Mass Driver. Now, why Mass Driver? It's such a degenerate card. Mass Driver impacted one of my favorite YCSs of all time, or Shonen Jumps. Indianapolis Shonen Jump after Nationals, I believe 2010. It was Frog FTK. Everybody thought the YCS was just god-awful, one of the worst events, but half of the top tables were Frog FTK. And if you guys don't know, Frog FTK is an STD, self-touching deck. Very good acronym, to be honest with you. But that particular Shonen Jump was a very skillful one. Yes, Frog FTK is like a 90% chance to go off turn 1. If you guys don't remember what Frog FTK is, check back on my ancient archive on videos. There's like 2,000 of them here. Somewhere along the way we talked about Frog FTK. The thing was with that format, Infinities were a deck. The players that had Doom Calibers were very successful. And I like the format because it was very hit or miss. If you could break the Frog combo, you could break Mass Driver. It made a lot of players pissy. It made a lot of players question the game at the time. But the thing that Mass Driver did for the game was it made a pretty solitary format, and it allowed Frogs to be one of the best decks for a short little period of time. And it allowed Konami Japan to open up their eyes to see like how the TCG distorts things, especially the way we do things here. So very game-breaking card for what it did to the game, and I would definitely consider it more powerful than Spellbook of Judgment. My third one is Cold Wave. Now, if you guys played during 2008 Gladiator Beast, or I believe it was 2008-2009, if you guys played in Glad format, realistically, if you're still in this game, congratulations, you survived a lot of BS. Now, Cold Wave allowed Glads to be at their prime because no matter what happened, your opponent could have all the back row answers for days, but once that Cold Wave resolves, everything is frozen over in a tundra that says, alright, you can't respond with anything. Cold Wave was one of the most disgusting cards for the game back in its day because not only did it allow Gladiator Beast to just be a degenerate deck, you could lock out 5 back row and just freely do whatever you want. Any card in the game that permanently shuts down at least 5 cards allows you to take a massive turn advantage and put your opponent in a crippling position, such as Cold Wave did. Needs to be taken care of. Now, like I said, it allowed Glads to be at their prime. I'm pretty sure you guys understand why. No back row, Glads are just free to attack. And it really made the game very degenerate for when the card was out. And it was very disgusting to have to deal with when I played in Glad format, even though I had Doom Calibers before they were massively released. It was definitely BS Storm, because you could just summon your Doom Cal. Your opponent's going to look at you and go, well, Cold Wave, Test Tiger, alright, that's cool. Summon second Test Tiger. Whee! It was a very interesting time for Yu-Gi-Oh! So, Cold Wave coming in at number 3 because of what it did for Gladiator Beast. My second card is going to be Soul Charge. Now, Soul Charge is relatively new, and the reason it's so high up on the list is the ability to just pay, 5k, out comes all of these monsters. Now, currently, we've just recently discovered the current Quasar deck with the potential of Soul Charge, reviving plants, basically the old Tornado Storm of BS that we had with the plant deck way back in the day. You guys know and remember Dango plants. The thing is, now that we have the return of just spammable Quasar, and the fact that now every deck has a Rekindling in its own form with potentially no restriction whatsoever outside of life points, and the fact that losing your battle phase doesn't mean much, it allows combo-based decks to slightly return back to the competitive scene. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, Soul Charge doesn't go in every deck. Soul Charge is like Monster Reborn, except you pay 1,000 life points if you just want to reborn one monster. Like I said, I know a lot of players would like to continually argue with that, but you're going to abuse it in Gear Gate, you're going to abuse it in Mermails, you're going to abuse it in pretty much everything Rogue if you can afford it. It doesn't go in Madoshe yet, it doesn't go in there, unless you are some wizard that I don't know about that lets your Madoshe monsters go to the graveyard. But the ability to generate massive card advantage in Soul Charge, the ability to set up infinite combos with Soul Charge, puts it on top of the list as probably one of the most broken cards in the game's history. And I'm not sure how that card is ever going to survive if it doesn't go straight from 3 to 0, because Monster Reborn should be at 1 if Soul Charge is at 3. So, flipping over to the other side of the table here, Monster Reborn comes in as my number 1 favorite card of all time. Now, a lot of players are going to be like, oh, well, you know, so much better cards, why do you pick Monster Reborn? Monster Reborn has always been one of those cards I've enjoyed playing, whether it be from current format, past formats, any format. It's always been one of those cards that you can just kind of rely on to get you out of a situation, much like, you know, Brain Control was in previous formats. Now, the ability to special summon a monster from either player's graveyard is what truly makes Monster Reborn a ridiculous card. Granted, you could special summon a monster only from your graveyard if Monster Reborn was worded that way. Realistically, the card wouldn't be so broken. The thing is, if you're playing a mirror match, it gives you full access to whatever your opponents used. If you're playing against a rogue matchup, something that gives your deck a little bit more synergy, like Dragon Rulers with Machinas, that ability to get that extra level 7 out of your opponent's graveyard could make or break the game for you, whether it be not in your favor or in your favor. Plus, I remember Monster Reborn being one of my favorite cards in, I believe, Fish, OTK format, things like that, with Colossal Arms, OTK, things like that. But Monster Reborn, it's always been one of those cards that's always been kind of, you know, ye-ol' faithful at the end of the journey. You're just like, oh, top decked Reborn, I guess I win. So, that's why my terrible luck has to do with why I love the card so much. So that's why I love Monster Reborn, and putting it at number 1 just from my own personal love. So guys, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys want to see next. We can do fusions, rituals, normal monsters, effect monsters, XYZs, synchros. But we'll leave it at that. I'm out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please thumbs up this video to show your support, and please check out Vanguard 40 for Cardfight Vanguard,
robbie-kohl Games for miscellaneous trading card games, and No Limit Gaming for a brand new series of Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Thanks for watching.